Hey guys, my name is Paloma Ortiz, and we're going to get right into this. This is a project for traumatic brain injury, and I say reality because we're actually going to look at a real case. So I thought that this quote was very interesting because this person actually said something very much along the lines of this, which kind of tells you what their perception looks like, gets you thinking. If you want to stop at any time and pause it to look at the details, please feel free. We are going to go through this kind of quickly. So the real case is actually a relative of mine, and in 2019, he had 5,500 pounds of pressure hitting him in the left orbital part of his eye, causing damage to his eye, nose, and resulting in traumatic brain injury. Always wear those hard hats and safety glasses because if it weren't for that, he may not have made that. The localized areas of damage was the anterior left side of his brain, specifically the frontal and temporal lobe. However, there's suggestions that there is more damage to other parts, but we're going to kind of stick to these ones for today. This medical timeline just shows where I pulled some of these symptoms and damages from. I thought it was interesting. In the aftermath, immediately within the next year, he had a few visits to the ER, and the big ones were for hemorrhage, tremors, and dystonia. He also had some surgeries, and there was some permanent damage that we can see in this slide where, to the best of our knowledge as students who just took the biopsychology course, we can make some connections. So damage to the frontal lobe looks like a totally changed sense of time. He is in a Friday and we're on a Monday, and he did it in 1 week while we did it in a whole month. It's a totally big change. Confusion in associations is also an interesting one. He'll confuse myself, my mother, and my aunt very, very much throughout the week. Damage to the temporal lobe. He has balance issues, so he suffers some falls. Short-term and working memory issues, and his senses are all out of whack. There are some things that he can smell and taste very much so, and other things that he doesn't at all. I thought it was interesting that dystonia also suggests that there might be damage to the basal ganglia. This is my interview with him in full. Please feel free to look through that. I think it was very interesting and very eye-opening. However, there was just so much there, I'm not going to stick to it. And I know what you're thinking. I'm making a lot of assumptions. I am, but I also wanted to apply what we learned and what we saw in the studies that we've gone through. So damage to the working memory can be seen in this study, where they used object location association to see the relationship between medial temporal lobe damage and working short and long-term memory. The results, they said, looks a lot like HM's digit tasks, and if you guys remember, it was around the 6th or 7th digit that HM started to decline in performance, and they think that that was because he was starting to pull from his long-term memory and not so much his short and working-term memory. This is seen in our subject. He has problems with remembering details throughout the day. His brother, in the interview, he actually pointed out that he'll forget things within the hour, and he'll certainly forget things that have to do with specific details like phone numbers. Another thing found interesting was an incident where the subject stated he was fixing a car, and in the moment of fixing the car, he immediately was able to fix the motor component of it and send it on his way, but it wasn't until several hours later that he realized there was actually an electrical issue with it as well. So there was a huge delay in the recall for that. The information is there, it's just not being connected right away. So I thought that was a very interesting thing, that just snap wasn't there. Deficits in detail can be shown in this study, where they followed 4 different groups and they put them through a little map and had 11 events all pre-planned out, and they looked at what their recollections looked like immediately after the walk, a month after the walk, and almost 3 years after the walk. And they found that the one that had the temporal lobe damage actually looked a lot like the recollections of those a month after and almost 3 years after. The biggest things that they had in common was that they were remembering things in big, large details and less specifics. However, the one with the damage, they couldn't put things in order like the other 2 groups could. So this is that map in the list of events that they had in it. So I thought that was super interesting. This implies for our subject, this is actually totally mirrored in our subject. He can recall large and loud details and experiences, such as where he was for Christmas, but he can't remember those smaller details like what he ate or what he got for Christmas. And these definitely has holes in his bigger puzzle, but it's something that we're all getting used to, and it's very interesting to me. I want to thank you guys for going through this journey with me. As I said, I thought it'd be an injustice to not go through something that we just learn and apply it to something that I deal with every day. And very special thanks to our subject for giving me permission to use him in this. Um, and we had a great class, guys. Thank you so much.